Hi, I'm Louisa, and this is the first of a series of videos where we're going to go through Joseph Pilates' original exercises in honour of March Madness this year. So this will be our first session. There's 34 exercises. We'll do maybe around 7 to 8 of them in each of the following sessions. So we'll just need your mat, any small props you might have handy, and I'm going to go through different variations, options, so just listen to what you need and take care of yourself. If you need to modify or leave anything out, that's no problem at all. So we'll come to your mat and we'll settle down in our relaxation position. So you might want to begin with some support under your head. Keep your props handy, but we don't need anything else right now. So you can roll onto your side, coming onto your back. Take a moment to settle to your neutral shape, neutral pelvis, hip bones level with each other, belly button and your pubic bone. Legs parallel in line with those hip bones, hips, knees and feet aligned, ribs heavy, shoulders softening, neck lengthening, and so we may have the prop under our head just to keep the chin and the forehead level with each other. So you've got space for your neck and possible space for your lumbar spine. So first off, just get comfy, take any wiggles that you need. So our first exercise is the 100. So called the 100 as it involves the 100 beats of the arms as you're breathing in and out. I'm going to go through various stages and options and variations, and you stay with whichever one suits you best today. First off, we'll get going with our Pilates breathing, and great to bring your hands on the side of the rib cage if you can, and we just settle into our breaths here, taking a breath in through the nose, and a breath out through the mouth. A breath in through the nose and then out through the mouth. And once you've settled into this, as you exhale, we'll begin to make that more conscious connection to your centre, and then we'll begin to find our pace of breathing in for a count of 5, breathing out for a count of 5. Maybe you need a different number, perhaps more or less, and that's fine. You can begin to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out and centre. 3, 4, 5. So you could stay with the breathing. Fantastic. Next stage is you have the arms down by your side, kind of reaching away, hovering away from the mat. And we're going to pulse or beat the arms. So you can breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. So please note, the arms are really active. I'm not just flapping the arms, it's from the entire arm in that shoulder joint. So to get everything moving, everything pumping, and in your count of 5 in and out. Next option, you can add on if you wish. Strong centre, you can float one leg into a single knee fold, and we can add that pulsing of the arms. So breath in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brief pause, let's switch legs. So second leg, strong centre, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brief pause, either you stay with your single leg or centre even more, you come to double knee fold. Glue the legs and feet together. You could always use an oval or a small cushion between your knees if that's more comfortable for you. Careful the back doesn't begin to arch, so keep that control. You might need more head support to help you keep those ribs knitted down. So reaching with the arms, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brief pause, we're going to lower the legs one at a time. So you may need to stay with the options with your head down, specifically if you've got osteoporosis or possible low back pain, a double knee fold might be too much. Otherwise, I'm going to go through some variations where you add the curl up part. If your neck is sensitive, you may wish to leave this out as well. So if curl ups are okay, we can perhaps get rid of any prop you might have. I'm bringing the hands behind the head heavy in hands, elbows in the peripheral vision. I'm trying to encourage length at the back of the neck. and I've got my thumbs at the base of my hairline, elbows, shoulders soft, so I can see them at the corner of my eye. As I inhale, I'm going to lengthen into a chin tuck, so I'm just sliding my head, and my chin is getting closer to my throat, but not squashing it. As I exhale, strong centre, I'm using my ribs and my abdominal muscles to glide up. So my ribs glide down, waist cinches in, pelvis stays neutral, though that lumbar spine is lengthened, breath to stay, and then you can peel and release it back down from there. So you find that length, and it's your abdominals bringing you up rather than yanking our head. So the weight of the head dropping into your hands. You can look down and check the pelvis is neutral, try not to grip around those hips, and then releasing back down. So if the curl ups are suitable for you, you could begin to come into a curl up and then maybe just explore reaching an arm away. If it's okay, we can keep one arm away, maybe opposite leg in knee fold, and take a few pulses here. So breath in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brief pause as we switch sides. So opposite arm reaching away to the leg in knee fold. Strong centre, pulsing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Coming back with the hands, we're going to lower the leg, lower that upper body. You might be staying with those variations. Otherwise, you could come back into our curl up with control. Perhaps your double knee fold works for you. You could glue the legs together, reaching either one arm at a time, or perhaps you reach both. Take a few pulses here. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our final option is you could extend the legs, flex the feet, slight turn out if you can. Either keep them straight up or lower them down a little. One or both arms reach. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pausing from there, drawing everything back in. Give yourself a well-deserved hug, either arms under or over the knees. You might want to rock a little side to side. You may wish to let your head roll side to side a few times. So loads of variations for your 100. Sure, we went way beyond 100. So just see where you're at today and play with the options, and take it from there and make it your own. So next from the 100, our second exercise is a roll up. So I'm going to show you a transition to come up from here, but also we're going to work on the going back if this is something you may not have done before. So the full transition would be we'd extend the legs out, they're in line with my hips, feet are flexed, ribs are heavy. I'm going to take the arms back in a ribcage closure first, connecting arms into the shoulders. I'm going to find that sense of chin tuck, so inhale, exhale, I'm going to begin to glide up and over into my roll up, and then stacking up nice and tall. If this is something you haven't done before, I suggest you start seated, perhaps with the legs bent, maybe a bit wider than mine or turned out. I'm going to just start with hips, knees and feet well aligned, and I'm stacking up super tall. So really sitting on those sit bones. Some of you, it might be helpful to prop something under your pelvis to have a bit more space around the hips and length for the spine. So first option, you can bring hands behind your thighs. Let's just sit up super tall. Going to inhale to lengthen and exhale, just try and lean back in this neutral shape, tummy engaged, and then stacking yourself back up. So that might be where some of you stay, especially if you have osteoporosis or if flexion of your low back is contraindicated, which is where we're going to head next. If you are happy to proceed from here, we start with a seated C-curve, a bit like a seated version of cat. So you'd inhale to lengthen and exhale as we soften. I'm going to tuck the tail around the spine, tuck the head. I'm trying to find that C shape without slumping. Inhale as we begin to come back up. So I'm softening into that C curve as I exhale, and then inhale to lengthen. That might be where you stay, or you could begin to peel back and perhaps add a little bit of challenge as you maybe float one arm away at a time, maintaining that control. If you feel ready to add on, a great option is to use your band to help you. So I'm going to hook my band around the feet. Legs could be bent or straight. If you were propped up under the pelvis, you might want to get rid of that now. So I'm going to find a little more length through the legs. Hips square, trying to find even distance of that band. And a decent amount of tension. So I'm going to inhale, find length. Exhale, soften into your C curve. You might want to come back up from here, so that tucking and untucking of the tail. Some of you, it might feel comfortable to soften into your C curve and begin to peel back a little further, maybe all the way to the mat. Maybe you pause at your challenge point and breathe. Once you land, you can inhale, find length, exhale, tummy scoot as you begin to glide yourself back up and stack up nice and tall. So the band is a huge help, especially on the return. Sometimes it's also helpful to put a small cushion or a folded up towel in your lumbar spine. If that's a sticky spot for you, or you find that it's hard to come back up, maybe try that if you need to. We'll try a couple more here. So inhale, length, exhale, C curve as you begin to peel and release back down. And inhale to lengthen and begin to curl yourself back up, stacking up nice and tall. Lovely. And stay with the band as long as you need to. When you feel ready, you could try it without the band. Same idea, imagine you've still got that support of the band. You can find that sense of length, soften into that C curve, peel and release yourself back down, one vertebrae at a time. Arms come back to your ribcage closure shape. And inhale, arms up, chin tuck, reaching up and over. You can head forward. I'm diving forward without squashing. Breath into there as you're peeling and releasing back down. So you are in control, using your breath, using your center to support you. Let's do one more here. Reaching up, using your strong center. And then you can stack yourself up from there. You might want to shake out the legs a little or shake out those shoulders. So well done. So exercise number 3 is the rollover. It's a very challenging exercise. So I'm going to show you some other options to play with first of all, and some of the versions that really help me with this one. So you can start to peel yourself back down. So when you've landed from your final rollover, you're set up perfectly. I'm going to just come back to my neutral shape. If you are going to head towards a full version of this, you probably don't want much under your head because you don't want your neck to feel compressed as you begin to peel up. So first off, I would suggest you start with some gentle pelvic tilts. So curling that tailbone up, perhaps on an exhale, inhale as you release it back down. This might be where you want to stay. Perfect. Some of you might wish to do some spine curls as an alternative to your rollover. So feet could come a little closer to your bottom. You might want to prop between your knees, and you could begin to wheel the spine up really firm and use the arms here. Breath at the top as you soften and release yourself back down. So this might be perfect for you. Another variation is great if you've got a prop like an overball or a roller. I'm going to just grab my ball as that's a little bit closer here. So that's propping my pelvis up a little, which is going to help me here. I'm going to keep the arms down by my side for now and just work on that pelvic tilt. If you're okay to add on, you could do your single knee fold, double knee fold, glue the legs and feet together and come into this kind of pelvic tilt rocking towards you. But it's still strong and lengthened from your low back. So that might be a nice variation to play with. I'm going to just lower this down, remove my ball for a moment, and I'm just going to grab my roller to show you another variation here. So the roller is great. Maybe you've got a bolster or a pillow you could use if you don't have a roller handy. This helps hugely by propping your pelvis up even more. So I'm going to come to neutral, have my pelvis on the roller. I'm in neutral. I don't want to be arched or tilted. You're finding your neutral shape as if you're in a bridge or a spine curl. You do need to secure the roller, either arms either end or over the front. And you're going to come into that single knee fold, double knee fold shape, keeping that control. Find length through the legs. I'm going to be active with the arms as I push up and over. and then peeling back down with control. So I feel I've slipped on that roller already, so I'm going to adjust here. So you could keep the legs bent, or you use that low of the legs as you push into the arm. I'm not collapsing through my spine or having all of my weight onto my neck. Okay, I'm going to lower that down one at a time and just move my roller out of the way. A version that makes things a little easier for me is I'm lucky to be on the Cadillac here. So sometimes using this support of holding on to something and using the arms is really helpful. So that's where I'm going to take this to. So I'm still neutral, arms ribcage closure. Connect arms into the shoulders rather than up to the ears, and the ribs heavy. I'm going to come into my knee fold, connect the legs, arms long, and then up and over. Okay, keeping that control as you peel and release it down. This is a tricky exercise. It's very tough for me. So these are the options that help me get anywhere close to this, but it's by no means perfect. It's a practice rather than perfection. As long as we're making progress, we're all good. So from there, take a little breather. You may wish to perhaps shake out the legs or do your hug and rock side to side again. And then we will move on to our one leg circle. So lots of variations for that. You may wish to have some support back underneath your head as you settle here, and your band can be a really helpful prop again. So I'm going to settle back in neutral. One leg into knee fold, knee in line with hip. We'll bring the band around the back of the thigh. The leg could stay almost at a right angle. You could soften the knee if you needed to. Pelvis neutral. Other leg could stay bent, or other leg could straighten away if that's comfortable for you. So we'll just do a few stirs here. So breathing, scooping, centering. You're stirring your thigh in the hip socket, but we're keeping the pelvis steady. We're going to do about 5 or so each direction. Great. This might be where you prefer to stay. Perfect. Otherwise, option, you could put your foot in the band. Either you keep it either side of the leg, or if your band's long enough, you might want to cross the band so it's a bit secure around the, more secure around the ball of the foot. Elbows down, good alignment through the arms, hips square. The leg could be parallel, but if you can, just slightly turn it out from the hip joint. Other leg could be bent or could be straight again. So breathing, scooping, centering, and you're adding that circle here. And the band is supporting the weight of your leg. Again, I'm doing about 5 each way. So use the band if it helps you. Check that you're keeping that heaviness through the ribs. When you're done there, then just glide back in and remove the band for a moment. If you wish to, take the prop away. You could do the same we've done without the band. So either the other leg is bent or straight. The leg that you did have in the band, we'll lengthen it away. Hands could be on hips or arms active down by your side. That slight sense of turn out and breathing, scooping, centering. I'm still stirring in that hip about 5 times each way. I'm trying to keep the pelvis steady. There are variations where we let the pelvis move, but for now, let's work on our pelvic stability. When you're done with that leg, a well-deserved hug, and then we'll switch over to those variations on your second side. So second leg can come up. You might use your band around the back of the thigh. If you can untangle it, better than me. So knee over hip, shin parallel or soft, other leg bent or straight. Breathing, scooping, centering as you stir around 5 times in each direction. Try and keep the pelvis steady, waist long and ribs heavy. Great. Next option, you can bring your foot into the band. Perhaps you cross over, perhaps you don't. Find length and stability, slight sense of turnout, other leg bent or straight. Breathing, scooping, centering as we stir. Again, around 5 each direction. Just find your range where you can stabilise. And then maybe you keep the band. It's perfect. Otherwise, you're back into parallel. You can remove that band and you can perhaps try a set without. whether you keep the leg bent or straight, either hands on or arms active, breathing, scooping, centering. You could always flex the foot of the non-circling leg to help you with your stability. And then when you're done, we'll hug that leg in. You may wish to just perhaps do a little mini hip roll or knee roll side to side after that circumduction work in the hip. So from here, we'll come up to seated. So you could roll onto your side to come up, or you could come into a roll up. See while I just sort out my mat here. So the next exercise is rolling like a ball. Quite challenging. You may prefer to stay with your seated C curve that we covered earlier. Otherwise, if you're ready to come along with me, we come back to that seated shape. You don't want anything underneath your pelvis right now. So the legs are stacked up and you can bring hands behind your thighs. I'm going to find that length as I soften into that seated C curve and begin to walk the legs in as close as is comfortable for you. And just see how it goes to give yourself a hug as you curl that head in towards you. So you're almost tucking yourself into this tiny little ball shape, and maybe you take a few breaths from there. And then we can stack up, and I'm going to try and sort of keep that sense of drawing into that small ball shape. Make sure you've got enough space behind you. I'm going to just nudge forward a tiny bit more. So in that C shape, I'm going to bring hands to ankles. The legs may be connected together, or you might have slightly more open in the hips. So I'm in that C curve, and I'm going to try and find my balance position without hunching up through the shoulders. So tucking that head, tucking that tail, centre engaged. And see how it feels to roll yourself back and return. So I'm going back on an inhale and coming up on an exhale. I'm trying to balance. And we're trying to stay on that straight and narrow. It's tricky. If you need to use some props to help you, your trusty band, that'd be a handy one. So even if you fold that up a few times, and I'm going to just pop that a little bit like a handle around the front of my ankles to kind of help me stay in that tight little ball shape. And see how that feels. My cushion's in the way there. You don't want to be landing on your head. You're kind of tucked and you're perhaps landing towards upper back. Okay, so we're not adding load to your neck here like a little rocking horse. Try to balance as you return. Great. Let's set the feet down. And then from here we'll move on to our single leg stretch and our double leg stretch. So I will show you the transitions from your rolling like a ball. It may be that the rolling or the curl up isn't suitable for you. And if that's the case, you just keep your head down with some head support and your legs would probably travel up higher than if you're in that curl up shape. So if you are okay to be in your curl up shape, we'll start in that rolling like a ball position. I'm going to begin to come into that and then slowly transition. So if I'm in a curl up and a double knee fold on the mat, and a single leg stretch as you draw one leg in towards you as the other leg slides away, slightly turned out. I'm changing over on an exhale. Draw those legs in, little hug, release down. As I mentioned, if curl ups aren't suitable for you, have a little bit of extra head support, double knee fold. You can do the same work, but the legs are a little higher, so there's not too much pull on your back. It might be trickier to reach, so possibly you guide the leg in with the hand loosely on either side of the knee instead. So that's a nice variation for your head down, a single leg stretch. Otherwise, we'll move on to our double leg stretch. So I'm going to roll myself back up and then find our rolling like a ball shape to go into our double leg stretch. So lengthen, C curve, find that balance as you slowly roll yourself back. And then double leg stretch is both legs away and both arms away. So on an inhale, and then I'm exhaling, circling around, trying to dodge my roller on the floor. Oops, got it. So you're always coming back into that ball shape. Give yourself a hug Let's release down. The option, if you need your head down, you have your head support again. You could be in your double knee fold, perhaps hands on hips. I'm going to have the feet slightly flexed, so I'm more pressing away. So you could find that same work with the legs. If you wanted to, as the legs go away, you could add on your arm circle. So it's still arms and legs away, gliding back in. So generally that on an inhale, exhale as you draw back in. And you're still keeping that control through your centre. So give yourself a little hug, a little release if you need to. So we're next going to roll up and do our spine stretch. If you need to come up by rolling onto your side, no problem. You could perhaps rock yourself up like rolling like a ball, or use your roll up shape. So I'm going to just pop my props out of the way and come to a gentle roll to come up nice and tall. And spine stretch will be sat really tall. You can prop your pelvis up here if that's helpful for you, just again to find more space through the hips and the spine. Going to lengthen the legs a little wider than the hips. Maybe you have a wall you could press into, or you could press against the poles on here. So I'm stacking up tall. I've got length through the legs, but I'm trying not to completely lock into my knee joints. So stacked super tall here. So it might be enough of a challenge to practice sitting well. If you have osteoporosis, I'd avoid the flexion, and it depends how your back feels whether this suits you. Instead, you could perhaps take a gentle hinge forward and a gentle hinge back, but you're moving your spine in one piece. The spine stretch forward, arms in line with shoulders. Soften, imagine you're pressing down to almost lift up a little taller, excuse me, on those sit bones. You're going to inhale to lengthen, exhale as you come into curl and reach forward, like you're pressing all the air out of your lungs as you come into this seated forward fold. Breathe here and then stacking back up really tall. So I'm going to come forward as I exhale and centre, and inhale, inflating back up. So you could keep your arms almost parallel with your legs. Some of you may wish to reach towards your feet, but don't force yourself there. Just see where you're at. So this shape does prepare us for our next exercise, which is our open leg rocker. So similar to rolling like a ball, but with the option of extending the legs. So we've done some work on our spine stretch forward. So remembering this kind of shape when you've got that length through the legs and some roundness through the spine. So for your open leg rocker, I'm going to come back to seated and kind of where you were for your rolling like a ball shape. Again, if you're avoiding spinal flexion for any reason, you could work on your hinge and keep that neutral shape and lots of support through your centre. Otherwise, you can start to come into a more open rolling like a ball shape and lift those feet up and just find your balance for a moment. So instead of rounding the upper back, I'm trying to lengthen the upper back and shine the gaze and breastbone forward a little. So this might be where you stay with your balance, or perhaps you begin to rock a little like a rocking horse. Some of you might begin to explore extending one leg at a time. You're going to probably be aware of your hamstrings here, possibly your hip flexors. Okay, so you might need to stay at this kind of shape, so a little bit more like you're open, rolling like a ball. Other option, and I might struggle to talk and do this one as well, so bear with me, is to extend the legs. So if you think we were where we were for that spine stretch forward, very similar here. So I'm slightly tucked in the lower half of the spine, but I'm trying to shine the gaze and breastbone forward. You reach up as far of your leg as you can. Just try and extend both legs, and then maybe you add that rocking back and that catching. So we're going back on an inhale, trying to catch those legs. Nice and tall, strong centre. I'm going to have a go for one more. Try and pause for a moment if you can. Optional to bring the legs together briefly, and then we'll lower them down. Sit up nice and tall. You might want to shake out the legs. You might want to do a bit more of a sort of wiper move through the legs. And very well done. We've covered our first 8 exercises of the classical repertoire. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope that's useful for you. And over the next few weeks, the rest of March for March Madness, we'll cover the rest of the traditional exercises. So any questions, let me know. Any requests, let me know. And I hope it's helpful to give you a few variations which should make the work a little bit more accessible for all of us. So thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye.